And yeah, a bit of spoiler that we'll talk about, but hi, this is our Explore. A bit of a show and tell where I pick up some Gunpla and just talk about them in general. This time we are looking at the Best Mecha Collection 1 to 144 RX 78-2 Gundam Revival version. You may ask, why do we have another RX 78-2 for 1 to 144 when we just have the RG 2.0? Well, first of all, this is a 45th anniversary product, although the 2.0 is also that as well. But more importantly, the Best Mecha collection was the line that Gunpla first came in. And this illustration on the cover is very much the same style, except now they have the new technology shown off in the front. Otherwise, the old school Mobile Suit Gundam logo, old school Gundam art, old school style Armor Ray in the front. And yeah, I could not wait. I built the thing already. Before we take a look at that, I want to talk about the instruction manual. Especially this page is also a replica of the original Best Mecha collection. In fact, Bandai even have a QR code for you to go and see what the original manual looks like. And yeah, Ilopla is the brand they have after the initial release. The initial Gundam release of Gunpla Best Mecha release was just a single color, sort of in the titanium ceramic green, curious enough. And later they released the Europla where they have 4 colors for the line. There's only 4 of them, but 4 color, 4 releases, that checks out. And yeah, this is the modern runners. They are probably too small, but you can see if you can see, the old runners are pretty much simple clamshells, whereas the new runners we will see later on. And yeah, one of the biggest, should I say, fond memory of the original Gunpla was that they still need glue. I mean, you still need some glue for some modern kits or the early Master Grade. But yeah, back then glue is absolutely needed, and they have a little packet of glue like a soy sauce or wasabi packet for you to put on, which is not ideal and led to a lot of fingerprints. In fact, throughout this manual, there are a lot of tidbits about the old kits and what have been done to make the new kit. They even have haiku for it. Yeah, one of the problems with the clamshell design is that you might glue the shoulder armor onto the torso accidentally, led to it being stuck and unmovable. And yeah, a bit of spoiler that we'll talk about, but yeah, overall, they put a lot of effort into this manual in showing people the ropes, telling them how Gunpla started and why this kit was made, or rather, why this kit is such a technical engineering flex. Now, the Gunpla itself. I went extra straight with this one with no panel lighting because I want to demonstrate how good this looks with next to no work. I did clean up the knobs, But yeah, you can really just build this thing with your fingers. It is a bit dangerous when you get the antenna off, and the shield have some parts that are a bit too tough to snap off with just your fingers. But otherwise, yeah, pretty tool-free. Well made sprue. Let's put it that way. The sprue is very well made, and as you can see, it has this lovely color, and I think without the panel lining, this looks like a vintage toy. I mean, you know, a bit too clean for a vintage toy, but you know, a well-kept vintage toy, or you know, a new stock vintage toy. Talking about a spoiler, if you have watched my XGUC GM video, or if you haven't, please go watch it. I had a lot of fun. I hope you have fun there too. I point out how the Vulcan guns is often depicted as yellow, and for this one, this Best Mecha revival, they do put the Vulcan gun in the yellow parts along with the eyes, hidden underneath the helmet. And as we'll see in some comparison, the lens also is in red with the transceiver and the sort of the real face red color parts. This is why I say this is such an engineering flex, because as we'll see later, they outdid what they have done with EG, and this is just what they could do these days. The head is not on a ball joint though. It is just one pivot. Well, a bit of two pivot. There's a neck joint and then the neck joint the head, but it is just one sideways turn, which is sort of the theme of this thing. It had a lot of good structure engineering for movement, like the arm. It is on a ball joint that give you a lot of free movement, but then the elbow, due to the design, is only going to about 60-70 degrees, which keep the vintage look but are not very good mobility. Like compared to the GM, he can't really pull out the beam saber. There is a lock prevent the elbow to go the other way too far, and as you can see, it is just a single sideways attachment that can come loose later on, but not, it's fixable. You can add a bit of paper glue, pretty much, not plastic glue. Plastic glue will glue the elbow. Safest thing would be varnish. Add some water varnish, add some water-based varnish on it, and yeah, it would have the tension back. While we took out the beam rifle, it is a single theme piece on a single round pick for a handle, and the optic doesn't even have a targeter. It is in some way worse than a G-frame, but again, this is the style they're going for, and it have all the features that it ought to have, like the muzzle device and the barrel details. Going to the other arm, the shield, no stickers for the Federation star. That's great. Red and the white is in separate color, and I'm not sure if this is necessary to keep it in line with the original kit. They keep the eye slits as closed, which I think it's a bit overboard, but you know, for the style. No front arm attachment, although doesn't have a front arm point to attach anyway, so can't really dual wield with a shield on like you see in the original opening, but yeah, still a nice piece of, should I say, accessories? No, I think the shield is integral part of RX-78-2, but yeah, they really recreate the original best Mecha Collect shield with the new engineering. The fist, despite size, it just have a single standard size hole, and I think it's close to 3 mm. You can put a lot of things in there, but you might need some modifications to hold other things. Either way, it works for this kit and it looks great. Down to the skirts, you can see the gap here, but up to the side skirt, or sort of the storage hard point on the side skirt, it is hidden up. So it appears like it can move, but it doesn't. It is a solid piece of briefs. But yes, the yellow squares at the back are also colored. Something that took Bandai quite a while to figure out in 1-144. Also, for the V, is colored, although this part is done in EG2 still. Very impressive coloring. The chest, no crunch, nothing, not even swivel. That's how the original kit is. Overall, as we will see as we go down to the legs, I think Bandai go overboard with the stick with the original to limit the movability of this model, but the things that this thing can do blows a lot of things out of water, I will say. And how good it looks, to be honest. So I think they make the right decision for limited how much this thing can move in order to keep the authentic old Bass collection, Bass Mecha collection style. Still, yeah. So nothing for the torso, no movement at all. The legs, it is on a single swivel, so no sideways. But theoretically, it can go 180 degrees, but because of the skirt being a solid piece, it can only go up like 30 degrees either way. As the result, it can't kick its own ass. And you might think this less than 90-degree knee joint isn't impressive, but if you take a look at the back, they have very good coverage. Again, this is probably how the original kit looks like. I don't have one to compare, but yeah, if you really want some movement back, just modify it. Still, what I want to say is, if you look at the shin, there is no clamshell line on gap. No gap on the side as well. There's a bit of a mold line, and because it is a tube for the shin, so you see no gaps on what's supposed to be a complete shin armor piece. Only a bit on the calf, which you only see at the back, and it isn't too bad. Down to the foot, it is on a ball joint, so it got side-to-side movement, but again, a lot of it is limited by the design. Yeah, you can see the ball down there. So pretty much you got a bit of slack front hip, but mostly it is back, which is not a lot. But again, due to how limited the legs are, this is more than enough to keep this thing stable with a bit of dynamics. Come on. No, this is too much. Not really. Still, if you don't go too crazy with the poses, alright. There you go. It can assert dominance. So yeah, actually, before we bring out the other examples about how Bandai could have improved for those, a little hidden part that they did not tell you. At first I was puzzled, as in why would they create a solar piece for the beam sabers on both sides, and I noticed they actually left a little gap here that you can cut off, and so I did that. And the result is, with the extra beam saber hilt, I can pull it out. And on top of that, you see the little hole there? You don't get this in the set, but it is a generic beam saber blade effect. You can give this Best Mecha Collection Gundam a proper beam saber with beam saber effect. But this is not authentic or, true to the original. So they include the original single color beam saber. And yes, this beam saber have a blunt blade like a stick or lightsaber, as I sometimes sleep. So yeah, you can make Gundam. They don't have a second one. Maybe you buy another one of these and then steal its other hilt so that, oh, you know what? Let's just do it. It is not a super hard thing to do. So this is what the backpack would look like if you just assemble it as the instruction manual. And I cut this in half so that I can pull one off. But for this video, I just pull this one off as well, so that we can have a proper Gundam dual wielding two beam sabers. So, going back from what I started when I talk about this thing, my last video, I talked about this GM, talk about the head falcon, and how impressed I am with the one on the Best Mecha Collection Revive. But the part that I want Bandai to improve the most is the shins. Now, I don't think we need a GM with a through tube shin, but we can probably have a good, like a one-piece front shin and then a separate piece at the back. That way you might have a mold line here, but it's not a gap of the clamshells that requires more than a bit of sanding to get rid of. Different style of shoulder joints. A lot of later models, I would say, have a tendency of this breaking because this peg is sort of designed to have a separate piece, but for the mass production mobile suits, cheaper models, literally, they just have a fixed pin coming out from the shell of the torso. That is probably a bit weak compared to the ball joint here. Not like this, not that this is free from the same fate, but resistant mechanics and leverage indicates a ball could be easier to move around compared to two axes. Another example that I have some briefs of the shins are the EG Gundam, which I will use this La Gundam Ichikata to demonstrate. With the EG, they still need to have a clamshell for the shins, while for this back Mecha Collect, they do not. Now, the EG, oh yeah, and head camera, the top camera. I have to paint this one. The best Mecha Collect, they don't. So in a sense, I was hoping this Mecha Collect would not just be the revival of the Mecha Collect line, best Mecha Collect line, but also sort of an EG 2.0. That's why I am kind of disappointed that it does not have better articulations. But at the same time, this thing is fit in the same EG box with better color separation, with all this gimmick, as my other show would call them. I can't really fault them too much. Although price point wise, not this one, regular Gundam, at least at the moment, is selling as much as these, but then I think with the eventual price hike, a Gundam would cost a bit more, so this would cost exactly the same as the GM here and regular EG Gundam. Either way, still a very good price for how it looks. If you don't care about, let's put it that way, if you want a Gundam that is very RX-78 looking but looks different, I think the best Mecha Collect Revival Fur is a perfect one to be collected. Gundam is another good one if you ask me. It is pretty much just RX-78 but more Japan-like, more how Japan would made it. Oh yeah, should we talk about height? Yeah, it is sort of a styling thing that makes these original 144 a bit shorter than they ought to be. Again, this is a different look, a vintage look, or if you just like how they were originally better anyways, this is a very good, to be at in your collection. And I hope Bandai would release more of these guys, like the original Ilopla line, complete the Ilopla line. If I remember correctly, it's Charles Saku 2, so a red Saku, and then Goof, a blue Nosaku, and then Gun Cannon again. If people have been keeping tab, Gun Cannon is one of those models that get quite a bit of release as well. So I look forward to Bandai to continue this line a bit more, like the HGUC Revival. It's kind of dead these days. They stopped making new models under that branding, but like that subline, I think this subline, it's a great way to just bring people in to the hobby. This is how I explain. Thanks for watching.